everybody. I hope you all are doing well. Welcome to your home-based meetup for Thursday. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. There are our opening slides for today, as well as this Canvas slides that we're going to jump into. So I'm going to go through a few opening things with you all this morning, and then we will jump into our stuff for Canvas. Just as a reminder, we are using Webex, so your toolbar across the bottom is your best friend. We do ask that if you're not actively speaking that you stay on mute. Your camera preference is totally yours, whether you want it on or off. You can use the chat for questions or ideas. You can also use the Q&A if you want to send something directly to myself or one of my home-based team members on the chat. Closed captions are available. The icon has changed, so it's I believe just a little circle now instead of this little guy, and you should be able to turn those on if you would like to have those on as well. If you have any questions at any point about this time, feel free to interrupt me or use the chat or the Q&A. Just some home-based overviews. So if you are new to these meetings, or just as a reminder, the purpose of these meetings are for positive feedback and building, working with you all as you all are stakeholders when it comes to the home-based products. We want to communicate information effectively to you all as the PSUs and charters out there. And then we want to receive your feedback as we make decisions that impact the work that we're doing throughout all of the PSUs across the state. We also want to network because, you know, it is difficult to find time to work with each other. So we want to make sure that we carve out some time for that, and then provide that specific coordination between DPI and the home-based products that we all manage and serve. The different products that you have: the Student Information System, which is our SIS, our Instructional Improvement System, which is our IIS, our Learning Management System, Open Educational Resource, the Educational Evaluation System, which is NESIS, the Digital Literacy and Supplemental Math resources are all contained within Homebase for you all. The links to our presentations I have dropped in the chat, and I'll put it again. This is the link for the ones that we're utilizing today, but if you're on those opening slides, you can access any of the previous ones as well as the ones that's Go Open, which is tomorrow. With that, here are the links to those Webexes. So the ones obviously for today, and then the Go Open is tomorrow starting at 10. You can come hang out with me again because, you know, I'm so much fun. This is our list of home-based schedules for this year. So the last set that we have are the ones in May. So that'll be May 2nd through the 6th. Same cadence and sequence there for each of the products that we support. And they're all virtual this year. Looking forward to 22-23. Very similar cadence with our products, although we do hope to offer 2 face-to-face sessions, one in September, one in May. If you are interested as a PSU hosting one of those locations for us and the home-based team, you can email Yolanda Wilson, who is on our team, and she is coordinating that with Dr. Dietrich. So if you're interested in that, wants to come hang out with you, please feel free to reach out. So some overall updates across all the products. PowerSchool, the home-based hospitalization present code for 22-23 is currently being worked out. They are attempting to release a calendar for maintenance for 22-23 by this Friday. And there is currently going to be a new coordinators training on March 7th to 11th. I believe from the conversation we had on PowerSchool on Wednesday, that course is already full. But please feel reach out if there's still interest to be possible future trainings. SchoolNet Transcend, they did a really good job overviewing this on the home-based meetup this week. So if you want to know more about that, check out that recording and that slide deck. And if you're interested in that, please reach out to Yolanda and Dr. Dietrich about possibly integrating that with your home-based selection. We're going to talk about today classic quizzes being delayed to 22-24, and that the Go Open NC Learning Hub for at-home learning has been completed. So those are some just product overviews. For NESIS, the implementation of the district administrator role, central office view only role for superintendents, that has all been implemented. So if you have questions about that, please refer back to the NESIS training. If you believe that you need training on any of our products, please reach out to us. That is kind of our primary role as your product managers. So we're happy to support you in any way that we can. And then lastly, with the social studies standards, those are available in SchoolNet and in Canvas for you for the 2021 standards that were just approved. I am currently working with Go Open NC to get those into the platform to make a transition for next school year. And the PowerSchool spreadsheet is currently in development for those same standards. We are obviously utilizing social media, so Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Please make sure that you're following us, that you look for posts from us. Um, I know several of us tried to do some like "Did you know" series to promote that for teachers and students as some quick bite-sized PD opportunities. And then, of course, check out all of the recordings that we have on our YouTube channel. This is our current. Someone's at the front door. Yes, I know someone's at the front door. We don't care. So sorry. That this is our current team for the home base. Our current home base manager, Dr. Dietrich, was promoted to the director for digital teaching and learning, and so we are currently looking for a home base manager. So if you want to come hang out with this fun team, if you know anybody, please feel free to submit your application. And this is our team overall. I'll come back to this feedback link at the end, but I wanted to pause and see if there are any questions about the opening slides before moving on. And of course, now my dog is going to go crazy because the doorbell's ringing, so I'm so sorry. All right, so I'm going to hop out of this slide deck and switch over to our Canvas stuff. For anybody that's just joining us, I'm going to go ahead and drop those links back in the chat for you all. So this is kind of our agenda for today. We're going to do some introductions. I've got some Canvas product updates for you, some updates for the DPI team. I'm going to show you around this new home-based admin course, and some Q&A and networking time for you all. And we're going to talk about, Sarah Matthews will be here at 11 to talk about some collaborations in Canvas, and we'll have closing and reflections. Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate it. Welcome introduction. So in the chat, if you would please, your name, your role, and what PSU you are hanging out with us today. People all over the state today. That's awesome. Well, Karen Kanapos, you're just down 85 from me. I'm in Salisbury, so awesome. Well, if you still want to type that in, you certainly feel free to. I just like to provide that as an opportunity so you know who's on the call and maybe some opportunities to reach out with some colleagues that are just around the neighborhood with you. So I've got some Canvas product updates to share with you all. And Jeff is also on the call with us. So if I mess anything up, that he can correct me. So hi, Jeff, it's good to see you. So first and foremost, I think everyone's going to be pretty excited about this, that the sunset for classic quizzes has been delayed to June 30th, 2024. There's a direct quote there from kind of the page where I got this and some links to additional resources. So if you have, oh, yeah, that might be helpful. Thank you, Tessa. Give me a second. There you go, Rob. I'm sorry.
No worries, man. Keep going.
I thought I'd set you all up as co-host automatically, but clearly I need some learning when it comes to WebEx is not my friend sometimes. Anywho, um, classic quizzes. So I did want to share this. I do think that is to look at this timeline is nice. So if you click on that link there, you're going to see kind of in a visual representation about where things kind of stand with the current timeline. Now, this is obviously all subject to change. I don't think they would move it up. I think if anything, they would extend it further out without communicating out. But I wanted to share with that because I know that there was a lot of questions and concerns around that transition because I think it was originally slated for was it this year 2022 or is it 2023? Oh, here, Jeff. Thank you. I'll fix you as well so you can speak as well. That might will also be helpful. I don't know why it's doing this today, but we just roll with it. It's cool. All right. There we go. Back in our slide deck. So just make sure that you're aware of that. Obviously, still, it's a transition is going to be occurring, so we want to get ahead of that. So I would recommend that any training that you're going to be doing with your staff over the summer, just to continue to make them aware that this is going to be happening. And I know there's resources out there about the migration and the transparency between what's available in new quizzes versus classic quizzes. Any questions about that timeline or transition from anybody? Oh, awesome. So Jeff put in the chat that are going to be focused on some transitioning tips at an upcoming statewide call. So please make sure that you're looking out for that, and we'll communicate that out when it's available. Any other questions? Okay. Oh, good question. When is new quizzes going to be fully functional? Um, I would expect, and I'll defer to Jeff for that, but I believe it's going to be one of those phase in kind of approaches. Jeff, did you want to comment?
Yeah, so full, for lack of a better word, full parity between current classic quizzes and new quizzes is ultimately the goal on our products end as they develop and make sure new quizzes does all the things that classic does, right? So that's definitely a priority. Um, I'll call out, right? So one thing that new quizzes a lot of users complained about was not being able to have partial credit with matching. So that has been delivered very recently. So I think that's a sign of what's to come to make sure all the things in new quizzes still do everything you can't do in classic currently. So I'd be curious, Lisa, potentially what other things might you want to see in new quizzes, right? So
It's just still so clunky, I guess, right now, with having to go into speed grader to do a bunch of things, with no, just, I get lots of frustration from people, because when I had originally said, we got to move forward with new quizzes, and people try to jump in, full feet, and then, every time the delay is out and then they hit all these roadblocks, and they're like, oh no, I don't want to use this. I'm going back to old quizzes, or classic quizzes, and you know, having it fully functional would really help everybody dive in and kind of convert and get their other ones gone. But until that happens, I mean, it's just kind of waiting on it, because I think the people who originally jumped and tried have backed off. And I mean, there are some great features that some people use in there. They're using new quizzes, but those that kind of dip their toe early, it's not fun.
Christy, I'll find that support guide for your question about converting or migrating classic quiz question banks to the new quizzes item banks. I'll find that and drop it in the chat. Just taking a look at the chat here. The question about, or the feel and heard about the having to launch the speed grader from the grade book and not just the the interface of the quiz. One thing I know I personally am excited to hear that is coming with new quizzes is the rich content editor functionalities that we're used to in Canvas, all across Canvas, right? That interface is on the roadmap to come to new quizzes as well, so that users can use that media recorder that we're used to within the item build and things like that. So that is something that there was a recent blog post about that from our product team, and so that gives me hope that that's definitely on their minds as well. Yeah, and sorry, I'm looking at the immersive reader and read aloud. Yeah, so that's a tricky thing, right? Because like accommodations aside for what our students need within quizzing and having things read aloud to them, when that's kind of an all or nothing within a platform, then it gets to that question of like, did they know the content? Did they know it because they had it read to them, right? It's that whole kind of like tricky thing about kind of assessment, validity and things like that. So I think that's one thing our product team put a blog post out about, that's the one pause they're having about working to get the immersive reader or screen readers fully functioning within quizzes in general, new quizzes or classic. That's neither of those exist currently. So I definitely I feel that, I hear that, and I think that our product team is grappling with that. I'll put it that way. I'm gonna find this resource.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Just a few updates from the CSM team. So if you didn't receive their 2022 February newsletter, I've linked it here. There's just some resources for you all to have. It's communications. I'm not going to click through it, but this is what it looks like. So you're certainly welcome to go back and access that if you are missing those. And I think they could just reach out to any one of you guys or the email group if they're not receiving those. Jeff, is that correct? To get on the distribution. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is this substitute resource course. So these are some resources. I know you probably all handle it differently about how you utilize substitutes in your PSUs, but there were some resources here to put out that kind of gives, depending on the role, so you as an admin, a teacher resource, or the actual substitute themselves, on utilizing Canvas. So, you may have a situation where a long-term sub is coming in and, they need some brief information about, or your district may have a training program on a group of subs that utilize, that you keep as a repository. So the Canvas team put together some of these resources. And Jeff, I was looking for this in Commons earlier and I did not see it. Is there going to be a link for it in Commons at some point?
That's a good question. It should be there.
Okay.
I will double check on that because I was talking to one of my other districts about that the other day. So I will follow up on that.
Okay. But so for right now, at least you could click on the link and see what the resources are. And so, like, for example, if you go into what substitute, and you can kind of see how it clicks through, but I'm just going to toggle up to the module so you can see what those information, what it contains. So you have access to that. I thought it was a great resource that I wanted to share with you all. Like I said, I know when I was in a PSU, I probably didn't do the best of job of making sure my substitutes were supported. with that information. So I wanted to share that resource with you all. Some upcoming conferences and webinars, you can see those linked there. The one that I want to point out is InstructureCon for 2022. It is going to be virtual again this year, so that means it is free and open, so you can certainly register for that and share that with your teachers, anyone that may wants to participate. And it is in the summer, so hopefully there's lots of availability for your staff. Any questions there? Okay. I do want to share a few of the deploy notes that came out on the 2nd and just call attention to a few of those. So now you should see in your instance when you go under a user, whether you're looking at them under the enrollment screen, the people screen, or wherever it is you're looking, you can kind of see anywhere you see a course display, you would see how they are enrolled as. So this is a particular custom role in this screenshot of observing teacher. You'll see that this one's enrolled as a student. So if you're using any custom roles in your instance, you will now see that when you look across that, so you know how the user is enrolled in that course without having to drill all the way down to that course and then go to the people tab to see that Corey is enrolled as whatever my permission is. So you can kind of see that there. And like I said, these are all for 2.2, so this should already be in your instance. The suspend user button has been moved, which I know that many of us were very excited about because it was right next to that act as user button. And I myself have clicked on that button. I'm like, oh, I did not mean to suspend you. I was trying to act as you. So nice little detail there. So we won't click on that button anymore unless we're actually meaning to click on that button. So for those of you that may not know, the suspend user ability, it was a recent feature that was added so that you can deactivate someone's access, but it doesn't delete their account. So here again, kind of circling back full circle, like a sub situation. So if you have created an account for them and they're going in, but they're only going to be a sub for 3 weeks, you can just suspend their account and not have to delete it and then recreate it should they become a sub again. Also, student teachers, I think, are another great example that you could use this for. When it comes to Canvas for Elementary homeroom sync subject lists, so now when you go under those integration settings for that, how those courses have been grouped, you can see what enrollments have been tied under that course, so how those courses have been grouped. So if you're a person that's using Canvas for Elementary, this is a nice feature so you can see how that teacher has grouped those courses under that homeroom creation. And the last thing I had from the deploy notes, I believe, was that if you're using the mobile app, that the cache time, if you will, the session duration has been extended. And that is really great. So that means, your kiddos don't have to log in again. It will keep that cached unless they clear their cache in their app. So you can request it from your CSM that it be extended, but know that the minimum is still that 48 hours. So if you want to adjust that time for your district, if you are a district that uses the mobile app, you can adjust that time frame. Any questions on any of the product updates? Jeff, anything I messed up? Okay, good.
It's a pretty light deploy month, release month.
Yeah. So can the act as feature be enabled at the sub account admin level? I do not believe so. I could be wrong about that though. I thought you had to be an account admin to have that ability.
That's an account level permission, so you could make a separate role based off of account admin, and turn off all the other things you don't want them to be able to do, and then at a sub account level give that user that role.
Yeah. So yeah, you create it at the root level, but then assign it only just at those specific sub accounts. Yeah. Good question. Any other questions before I move on? are being quiet today. What's wrong? All right. You can't say I didn't give you a chance to talk.
Can I
All
break
right.
the silence for just a minute?
See, there we go. How's it going?
I am good. I am jumping in and out today. I'm extremely busy, but I do want to make just kind of one statement, one comment if I can. Jody is on this call, I believe. Yes. Jody, are you here?
I'm here, Rob.
I don't know if everyone on this call is aware. And when I hear and catch wind of things like this, I like to tell people Jody is in Cumberland County, and she and I have been working together for several years, and she is retiring very soon. And I just want to thank her for her service to North Carolina and Cumberland County and what she has done for the Sand Hills region, especially when I was there. So if you all know her, please reach out and tell her thank you for her service, as well as I believe that retirement's a good thing to look forward to from when we get out of what we're doing now. But Jody, thank you very much for what you've done and the influence you've had, I know, down in your region and across the state. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And I've enjoyed every bit of it from the days before we even had NCY. So I've been lucky to work in information technology and instructional technology. And I'm so happy that I got a chance to jump into Canvas, because we have thoroughly enjoyed our last 3 years, even though it's been absolutely insane. So thank you all. I know I've worked with a lot of people on this call, and y'all have been great. The partnerships are great. And Rob's right. We had a great group in Sand Hills when he was here, and I'm just glad that we've got some leadership now at DPI that remembers what it's like to work in the school district. So thank all of y'all for the support that you've given us. We appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to it. A little scared, but looking forward to it. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate that interlude. Appreciate it.
No problem. And congratulations. Good for you. All right. So I have a few updates as far as the DPI team goes. So as a reminder, if you don't get the Google group emails, I try to send those out. So make sure that you have requested that. And then I'm asking people to update their contact information. So I just want to make sure that I have a solid list of Canvas admins across the state. So if you've already done this, you can just ignore what I'm talking about. But this link here takes to just a Google spreadsheet, and I just want to make sure that I've got correct contact information for everybody. So teacher webinars. So we are doing these once a month. I know we did them last semester. We're revamping those and going forward within this semester. The one-on course accessibility is tonight. So if you want to hang out with me again tonight, you're welcome to. So please make sure that you send that out with your teachers and anybody in your staff that wants to participate. And like I said, in March, we'll talk about formative assessments and mastery paths to round out this year. Just as a reminder, NC Ties is coming up in a few weeks, believe it or not. So I put the link to the schedule at a glance and the link for registration. I am selfishly promoting my session because I can. So we are going to be talking about Canvas for elementary and kind of some opportunities and some new information that's there. It will be, there's all the information about the session time and whatnot. But hopefully many of you guys are going to be able to come and participate, and I'm excited to get out there and talk with you guys. So in person. So that'll be a fun opportunity. But just wanted to share that information there. And I know that there are probably some other members of my team on this call that will be presenting as well. Had I had thought, I would have put all of that information together, but you know, hindsight, it's always good. So just as a reminder about that. The new home-based admin courses. So this is not necessarily new information to you all as Canvas admins, but I did want to share some other resources that we're doing. So one of the things that the home-based team has been working on is getting resources compiled together for all of our home-based products. And so I wanted to show what those look like. So as a reminder, inside of NCA Cloud, and everyone's looks differently, but those of you utilizing Canvas, you'll have two Canvas icons, your red instance, which is your PSU's instance, and then there's the blue NCDPI instance. So when you log into that instance, you should start to see a button in the lower left-hand corner under the help that's going to say home-based resources. And right now, if you toggle that window open, you're going to see 3 courses that are available. Many of you are already enrolled in the Canvas course, thanks to the amazing work of Pam Batchelor over the years in supporting of this. And we have expanded that out to all of the home-based products, and the rest of my colleagues are working on theirs. And we're hoping to have them all ready for you by our May meeting, so that you have access to them. But we really wanted to spend some time today looking at this and giving you an opportunity to provide some feedback. So if you're not currently enrolled in the Canvas one, you can click on this button and it will give you the opportunity to enroll in that course. If you already are, it should be on your dashboard with a tile that looks just like this. The format of each one of the courses is a little different. So I'll give you an example. My 2, Canvas and Go Opener, kind of laid out by theme or by groupings or a module that makes the most sense. PowerSchool and Niesis are kind of laid out by months and quarters, and I think SchoolNet is also kind of in a quarter basis. So those that are kind of dependent on the time of year, you'll see those in a different cadence. But they should be relatively the same homepage with maybe some different buttons here at the bottom. But I wanted to give you the opportunity to kind of jump in this course today and spend some time looking about how it's maybe changed. Or if you are also happen to work in Go OpenNC or SchoolNet, I wanted to give you some time to explore in each one of those courses. And then all of them on the homepage have this purple button that says Provide Course Feedback. And it should take you to a Google form where you can tell us who you are. You don't have to if you don't want to. Select which product you're giving feedback for. If you want to give us the URL, like URL on this particular page, and then whatever that feedback may be. So I did want to carve out some time today for you guys to jump into these courses if you're not currently enrolled in any of those 3. And it doesn't have to be the Canvas one if it just wants to be either the other 2 products to give some feedback.
Corey, quick question. I see someone put it in the chat. If when you click on the blue canvas and it doesn't have an account for the user, how do they get in there?
So I currently have to provision that manually. So if you want to send me just a separate message with your first and last name, your school district email, and your UID number, or you can send it to me in email, I can get you populated in there. Long-term goal is to have that provisioned automatically from the ODS, but as of right now, I take some CSVs that I get once a month or so and upload it. So yeah, if you just want to send that to me separately, I can get you in there.
And this is one of my support district support personnel folks. Different people here have different roles and support different products, which I know that's why y'all did different courses, right? Are there any rules as to who can join? Is it something we're keeping tight at the district, or is this something you guys are kind of encouraging us to send more people there, or just keep it to us right now?
I mean, I don't want to speak for everyone's product, so I will speak for mine. And I think that the PowerSchool people, I think, are wanting to keep theirs more tight, and I think that's just going to be the people who are your, what is the word I'm looking for? The PowerSchool coordinators for your district, not data managers or anything like that.
Right. Okay.
But I think for my 2, I am perfectly fine. There's not much information in there that would not exist out there in the world. So I am fine with it being however you would see fit. I mean, I would say most of the information in both of mine are really going to only be relevant for you guys as district admins. It's not really written in a way that is, even down to the teacher or student facing, like that's, but that's just my thoughts and opinions. Rob, did you feel differently?
No, you said that very well. And since Corey's allowed me to speak, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I think it's very good. We hope that you find this as a good tool and a good resource. The people that we have showed this to seem to be very receptive and believe it will help them in their daily functions with the products we have. So this is just one more tool. As we've been working with the home-based advisory group, they said we needed more resources like this. Again, Jody was a part of that conversation. So we are hoping that this meets the need for you, and that's why we want your feedback here to tell us if we're on the right track or not. So thank you very much. And Corey, I hope that answers your question, but yeah, it was good. Thank you.
Yes, and you're always allowed to speak, Rob. But
Thanks, Corey.
Hey, Corey, this is Cammie. The NISA's course should be released soon. We're going to review it with our NISA's Nuggets group today, and then hopefully we can release it, and it'll still be a work in progress as well. But I'm like Corey, I don't have any limits on who should access it. I'm going to leave it up to your districts to decide who should be getting in there. There's not, anybody can join my webinars when we do district administrator stuff. So I don't think NISA's is limited like CIS would be limited. I hope we're looking forward to hear your thoughts.
Corey, hey, this is Lisa. I had forgotten about the Canvas admin app guide. I would love if we, at some point, could spend some time with everybody collaborating, putting things in. I'm in the process of getting Canva integrated with our district and through Canvas, and that was a very smooth process with how to get technology services involved. We had to sign the agreement and all that stuff, but it's a free product and it works beautifully. And it's sad that we've only got 16 things on here. I know we kind of started this one time a while back, but I would love to for this list to grow, because there's all kind of stuff out there, but it's like this, like what's, you want somebody else's opinion about it first before you want to jump and take that leap. And so I definitely, if we, at some point, it don't have to be today, but because I was just looking, I was like, oh, Canva's not on there. Let me add Canva. And so, because I'm sure people have added a lot more since this list was started.
yes, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to bring this up today and refocus us on this course, is for that exact reason. And there's a lot of resources in here that, because we all use different products, those LTIs and those things that integrate within our instances. So yes, we can certainly spend some time with that, maybe on our May call. And I can send out that ahead of time so people can be thinking about what LTIs they may be using or what apps they're integrating with.
I'm not sure how much time Corey gave you. I know he's got that good teacher vibe and gave proper wait time, but what do you all think so far of what you're looking at? Obviously, I did not give the proper wait time, and obviously, I did not do that very well when I was leading a classroom.
No, it's funny, Rob, because I was getting ready to ask the same thing. So I'd set my timer and it was just expired. So
No, I think it's great. I've been here several times, but I forget about it. I know Pam would send out some announcements through here, but then we started the Google group. So, and I like the collaborate thing as a way to like have a true conversation, but then Google group could, gives us that instant, kind of go back and forth without going through Canvas. But then I know this is a way to kind of keep a history of what we've talked about. So, yeah,
exactly.
but then keeping up with, I didn't realize you'd added the home base, the slides and all that. So, being able to go back if you miss something to have that stuff there. But yeah, it looks good.
Thank you for that. That's what we want. We want to give it a resource that you can go to that it has everything in one place. So that's a good thing. And we're glad we can do that for the other products as well.
I know everybody's been quiet, but this is what we miss. I mean, the home-based meetups, we just had so much conversation and you learn so much from everybody. And I know we get in that rut of just keeping our cameras off and listening to what somebody has to say. And, instead of, not that I'm shaming anybody today for nobody talking, but, I really miss that. And I hope we can get, because we had lots of great conversation about then.
I agree. So that Lisa, that was like a beautiful segue. Like I didn't pay you to do that, so that's perfect. So the next thing that I kind of want to transition us to for just a few minutes is kind of a Q&A time, and I think with it being on a WebEx, that's kind of hard to do. So I'm going to leverage some breakout rooms to do that. But before I do, I want to give you this as kind of a landing spot for some Q&A topics if you want to use that. So I'm going to open up. There's 45 of us on the call today, so I'm going to open up. I'll just do 6 breakout rooms. And as you go into those breakout rooms, they're not going to be set up by any particular theme, region, whatever that may be. They're just places for you to go. And the recording will automatically is going to pause itself. And so that just kind of gives you an opportunity to have some maybe offline chats with anybody. But if there's something you want us to address out as a group, like I said, I am going to drop the Padlet link here and we'll come back together. I'm going to say, let's do 10 minutes. We'll come back together at 5 till. And so those should be open for you now. You can join any one of them. Okay. All righty. So just a little bit of context behind that. So as you guys are coming back into the main room. So one of the things, like I said, that I was received feedback on was some time for networking and Q&A. So I just wanted to give that as an opportunity. As always, I try to be as responsive to your feedback as I can. So if you're like, hey, let's try this, I'm always open for that. So one of the things that was brought up in one of the breakout rooms was some of the BOI and EOI resources. So I'm going to put a link to the direct document itself in the chat. But if you're in the modules section of our course, here is that link. And I've also broken out some of the stuff by BOI during the year and end of year resources. So, and I'm sure that we will talk about in our May meeting or at one of the statewide calls towards the end of the year about summer cleanup and doing all that fun stuff as we prep for year rollover and summer school. Any questions that came out of that? I was monitoring the Padlet, didn't see anything entered, but I wanted to offer an opportunity for any Q&A if anybody wanted to ask a question in the whole group.
Corey, we had a question in ours that we wasn't able to figure out. Somebody's having, I think Lisa's having a problem with a teacher who is, when she uploads a file to her Canvas course, it's going into, I can't see in chat, it's going into a uploaded file location or something. And students don't immediately have access to that. Like she has to move it somewhere else before they have access to it. And I don't know if it's how she's uploading or do you have to give permission? I was trying to look through some of my files to see. I remember having that issue with images, but I don't remember having that issue with files.
Yeah, Lisa, are they uploading it into the rich content editor or are they putting it into the file section of the course? Or do you know?
I think that question was from Lisa Lee.
Yes, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa Lee. Lisa, are you there? Okay.
Hello, can
Once
you
he
hear
comes
me?
back. Oh, there you are. Hi.
Okay. Yeah, she was uploading it as a file and it was going into a media file folder, and she would have to drag it into another folder before students could have access, and all the students were getting a locked icon so they couldn't access that information. And it was doing it every time she would upload a file. It was going into a media file folder, and then she'd have to drag it into another folder for them to gain access.
Yeah. So Jeff and his awesome self has put a link in the chat already. So yeah, you can manage the permissions of specific folders within the file section of a course. So I would guess that that particular folder has a permission on it that's preventing the students from accessing it. So I would just, I would either go in to that file itself and make sure that they have the permissions that they need to see that content. And that link there should be the guide on how to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure thing. Any other questions or comments that came out of your Q&A time? Okay, I've waited as long as I can. That's my wait time limit. So if you have things that come up, always know that you can reach out to me or the CSM team to support you. I did want to, is Sarah here? Sarah Matthews? There she is. So for our second half of today, we're going to be talking about some ways to collaborate in Canvas. And Sarah Matthews is with us from Instructure. And so I'm going to turn it over to her, and I can either drive for you or however you would like for me to handle this time, my friend.
We are going to do some collaborating in Webex. So I'm going to need you to help me facilitate that because I don't have driving permissions. So where are you? Collaborating in Canvas. Okay, so hi everyone, sorry. Nice to see you guys. Hey Jeff, I see you. Hi. So we read your feedback. Corey and I read your feedback, and I don't know how much of this has already been said. I'm really sorry. I'm coming in an hour in, but we went through your feedback with a fine-tooth comb to see what we could do to make this time useful for you. So we saw repeatedly calls for more time to network, more time to collaborate, right? So I think Corey built into the schedule some time to network, and then we built into the schedule here some time to collaborate around Canvas. So we thought what would be awesome and a good use of your time is to put you guys into 2 separate breakout rooms. Is that the proper language in WebEx? Breakout rooms?
Yes.
Okay. So 2 breakout rooms by choice, right? To have conversations around collaborating in Canvas. So when Corey and I talked about this, it's really funny because we both approached it from different perspectives, which I think I have a feeling you will also approach it from, a different perspective. We thought about it at the school level, right? So like, how can we facilitate collaboration in Canvas at the school level, right? And then how can we facilitate collaboration in Canvas at the course level? And that's kind of the direction we went. So we thought we'd put 2 breakout rooms. We'd open 2 breakout rooms, and Corey's going to go into one. I'm going to go into one. And we can kind of have a conversation where we share out best practices around collaboration in Canvas, tools, resources, how real world boots on the ground, how are you collaborating at the school level or encouraging collaboration at the school level and at the course level. We also built on the next slide, there are a couple of resources that I linked out for you guys. I think you guys have access to the slide deck, right? Do they?
Yes, they do.
So if you guys are in a room and you're just like, I am just overwhelmed, feel free to take a peek at the resources to look at maybe some of the headings and topics that are in there. And then those are for you, obviously, to keep and share with, everybody. Did I miss anything, Corey?
I think the last thing is this next slide is so
Yes,
however you want to respond to this, you can either all collaborate on this document, or if you want to elect a particular person in your breakout session to respond, I like the idea of everyone kind of collaborating on it. But there's just some questions on this Padlet that we wanted to use to kind of spark the conversation. So granted, whichever breakout room you go into, how those questions apply to it. And so you can add comments underneath those. And so, yeah, so I have those 2 rooms set up, and you want to say, yes.
Before we go, we're going to share out when we come back. So we have excellent wait time. This is a room full of people in education. So we are going to we're going to share and we're going to talk. So just come back. How long are we going to give them?
I was thinking 15, 20 minutes.
That's brilliant. So 15, 20 minutes. Corey will be in one, I'll be in another. We'll come back together, and you can either elect someone to share out, or we can obviously, share out if you're super excited about something.
Yes. Just got to request for the Padlet link in the chat. If you'll give me just a second. Sure. And I don't know how people do this with one screen. There is the Padlet link for you all for those discussions. And then I'm going to open these rooms up for you guys.
Thank you. Everyone back? We all back? We had an awesome conversation in the school level collaboration group. So I don't know, can we go first?
Of course.
Awesome. So Sarah, I don't know what district you're from, but you had this really cool use case with sandboxes, right, to help encourage collaboration. It's actually building courses together, right? But it's across a PLC, which everyone seemed to really like. So would you mind sharing that out?
Sure. So as a lot of you guys know, I let things happen. As an admin, I'll just see what's going to happen. But our teachers, Corey's laughing because he's like, yeah, that's just. But our teachers have the ability to create any sandboxes they want. I don't turn that off. I'm just like, if you want to do it, go for it. And our teachers and their PLCs have started to create their own sandboxes where they build out content together. So, and it started just from, hey, we need to make a common summative assessment. So they would build it in that sandbox, and then they could just copy it to their own courses. And they're all teachers in that sandbox. But then it has progressed to unit planning. And so each teacher would take on different tasks of that unit planning. So they're all working together, but they're not having to make all their own material. It's not mandated by the district. They don't have to use everything except for the common assessments. But what we're finding is that teachers are really appreciating that time to work together. They feel like they're not going to a meeting and having to go and do all the work afterwards. They're just working together through it, and they still have that teacher autonomy. So that's been a beneficial. And that's just a grassroots organic thing. It's still not mandated. I still have some PLCs who don't do that, but those who are reaping the benefit of it.
And we had another, was it Debbie? Oh my gosh. I think, was it Debbie? The idea of taking, so you're in the Canvas Certified Educator course, right? And so you're actually going back and looking at some of the resource hubs that you created and adding in like a discussion or a collaborative element to get feedback. I thought that was a really good idea too. Do you mind sharing?
That was me.
Oh, Kristen. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
That was me.
Great idea.
We have our approved digital resource list that we've vetted and put together, and it's always been just on our webpage. And so as part of what the work I've been doing in the Canvas Certified Educator course is I've made it into a more interactive, link-based and descriptive-based place to have all of the different approved resources, and then attached a discussion board to it so that as the digital resource is being used, or if there's questions about it, it's a place that there can actually be more collaborative discussion about the resource.
So actually, like, having feedback or asking questions, or right, how did you use this resource, or right, I just thought that was a really cool way to look at something you probably already have floating around in your instance to add a collaborative element to it. Awesome. And we had a request, Corey. Sarah, was it your idea?
Yes. Corey, you can kill me now, it's fine. But I would love to see us utilize the North Carolina Canvas Commons to have some exemplar courses, modules, units. At this point, I'll take anything, because I would there's a lot of conversation, and I think a lot of districts and some teachers are kind of feeling isolated. They're not quite sure how to take some of the content and move it onto an online platform, what that looks like, especially with the different modalities of instruction that we have going on, which varies day to day. But I would love for our teachers to have access to that. I know there are some things in Go Open, but not with as much fidelity as we'll love to see. So I know that's a lot of work. That's a big ask, not just of you, but as a state. But I'd love to see us working, because I think we all probably can identify a few folks, and we could utilize them as Canvas teacher leaders in the state, whatever you want to call it. And I think it would be beneficial and help out in the long run. And if I'm the only one that feels that way, I can just stop talking. But if others feel that way, please speak up. I would love to see that.
Oh, you're just asking for exemplars for every subject area across all contents, grade levels, and spans for all of North Carolina standards.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
I mean, just add that to the Polaris project. It'll be fine, Corey.
Yeah, just tack that onto the end. No, I don't disagree with that. I think that's a great place, and actually kind of fits right into. That's actually, for those of you that don't know, I'm getting my doctorate right now, so that's literally the premise of my thesis is around supporting K-12 instructors who have not really worked in an online environment before. So how do we provide them with professional development and exemplars and resources? So that's a good point. That's a not just a thing Corey can do. So I will have to see what I can do to leverage my colleagues across a curriculum and see how we can do that. But I don't disagree with that at all. Were there any other? Not that that's just a small ask. Is there any other questions or comments out of your group, Sarah?
We asked some questions around those particular ideas to kind of flesh them out a little more. So, but nope, that was it. It was very productive.
Yeah. So yeah, for our group, we talked a lot about at the course level, there are some things that teachers may be apprehensive to utilize as far as communications go, especially things that are bidirectional. So because that obviously requires some involvement in monitoring. So we just talked about, maybe we start with just the ones that are one way. So, teachers are really utilizing things like announcements, but having the comments or feedback disabled, using the inbox for under the gradebook for message who, may have to turn their assignment in. Those are all great features that you can utilize that are all just one-way communications. The course calendar, just communicating resources, and then building up to those ways that we're then involving the student communicating back to us. Some questions around, some districts utilize their internal email system versus inbox and how you can partner those two things together. But I think it was a great conversation. Anything that anybody else wants to add from my group from our time together? Okay. Before we move away from this and our time with Sarah, is there any collaboration, communications, comments, questions, concerns, or ideas? Okay, hearing none. The only other thing that I had for you guys today is your opportunity to provide feedback on our home-based meetup together. So I won't put the slides back up, but I'll just give you the link here. And no, that's needs to go to everyone. There's the link for the feedback. And as always, I try to be as responsive to that. So utilizing that as a way that I can shape these meetings in a way that's hopefully most beneficial. I know that we would all much prefer them to be in person so that you can have that time to chat with each other. But we're looking forward to that hopefully for 22, 23, which is a weird thing to say out loud. Sarah, I'm gonna go back and figure out a way to make your curriculum dreams happen here. I did see there was one question that came in on the Q&A that I wanted to talk about. And I think this was yours, Lisa, around teacher of record changing. So you're having teacher record change in
Yes.
Power School?
Yes.
Okay.
And
And
I
then
don't know
that's
if there's
causing.
any way. So then, we've tried to talk to data managers about letting somebody know they're going to make a change like that, especially high school, because our high schools are leaning heavily in Canvas for workload. And, frantic email the other morning, help, all her stuff, teacher coming in and she was been using the course. Then when the data manager finally, they had a placeholder there. So then when the placeholder got changed and everything got disconnected, and I know there's nothing to do, but it's frustrating. I don't know of a solution. I don't know what anybody else is doing for that.
And are you using one-to-many rostering?
Yes. I don't know. What are we doing? I get
So
confused. So
one-to-many
like if I'm just teaching Math 1 and I got 3 sections, it goes to one course.
Yeah, so that's one-to-many rostering. So
that's a good idea.
That's a good point. Yep. So yeah, just adding a procedure there to make that change. I would say, in my opinion, this is Corey's opinion for what it's worth. That is why I only use the one-to-one rostering, for that reason, for the teacher of record changing, and not creating a whole nother set of blank courses. It would just change whoever that teacher is. But that's obviously a big change that would occur. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we do is when we like if we are one to many, and if we have a teacher change and they're teaching the whole, like all 3 sections, we take, when they move the sections over to the new course, I cross list those sections back into the old course. That may not be the ideal way, but that keeps them from losing all the grades and all the content.
Yeah, that's what I do too. But you have to wait till the next morning, and then somebody had, for the sync to happen, and somebody has to make you aware that happened. And then, if I was like the other day, if I happened to not been sitting here at 7:30 when that come across, I mean, she was in total panic mode. You just have to know, like, and I got some of them trained. They let me know. I keep a note right here, and the next morning I cross list them back, and everything's fine and dandy. Nobody ever knew what happened. But it's just, when you got 10 high schools and you don't know.
I guess it's easier for me. I just have one high school. So our data manager's real good to let us know.
Yeah, and we don't have coaches in all of those, and so it's not. Those with coaches do a little bit better job, and those without any support is really tough.
Any thoughts or other comments about that strategy that you all are using in the field? Okay. Any other final questions before I give you 30 minutes of your day back? All right. Like I said, thank you all for hanging out with me today. Hopefully this was meaningful for you all. Here is our feedback form again, and I'll go ahead and stop the recording.